Welcome to this tutorial on building mobile applications with React Native and Django. And in this video, we'll be providing an introduction on how to build your first mobile application as a summary of all the parts that have been previously released on my YouTube channel. And it doesn't matter if you're new to React Native or Django, anyone with basics of Python and JavaScript can follow along. So this is how the end result will look like. We have a very simple application with events. We can go inside and see the event details. Then we can go back. We have QR code generation on the backend. We can add a new event with this simple form. We can take a look at our navigation. If we press on more info, we will be taken to Google. And we also have a QR code scanning functionality, but this is only available on a physical device. We also can pull down to refresh the contents of our events. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so React Native is a framework for building mobile applications, and apart from that it's actually open source, it has some serious benefits. And the first one is that it's similar to React.js, and this means that if you have been coding in React.js in this JavaScript front-end library, this means probably that React Native is something that you can pick up in a very fast way. So this is the first thing. The second one is that it's actually cross-platform. And this means that you don't need no longer to have two dedicated themes for iOS and Android, because iOS has its own native Objective-C and Swift language, while Android has Java and Kotlin. So you don't need to have two separate teams right now. You can have one team writing one project on two platforms. So you write JavaScript code, which will later get compiled into native components depending on the platform. And the third great benefit of React Native is its great community. So in case you get lost, there are a lot of articles, there are a lot of people active that can help you. There are a lot of cool packages that you can implement in your own projects. For our project, we will be using Expo, which is a bundle of tools built on top of React Native to help developers get started with React Native and develop apps in a faster and easier way. And as an example, we can take a look at the Expo barcode scanner. And this is something that we will use probably in the next part. So as mentioned before, we need a solution for scanning the QR codes so that we can be taken to the detail screen of a certain event that we are interested in. And we will, as mentioned, use the Expo barcode scanner. So we will install it, and then we have some information about the possible configuration. And then we have a ready code example that we can actually copy and paste into our project. And we need to know React Native in order to adjust it to our own needs and requirements, all right? So this is something that we will look at probably in the next video, in the next part of this tutorial series. But take a look at the left sidebar. You have so many features that you can bring into your own applications in a very easy way thanks to Expo. So now the question is how we can get started. Well, the first step is to install Node.js. If you have Node.js installed, we can actually go to an empty terminal window. We can go to our desktop, and we will create our first Expo project by running npx create Expo app, and the name of the application is going to be events app. Let's wait a few seconds. Alright guys, so now we need to think about a solution for developing our application, because we are not dealing with a web app anymore. So we need to somehow open our application on a device, and there are basically two solutions to do this. The first one is to download the Expo Go application. You can get it from the App Store or from Google Play. It's free, and once you start your development server, you will be able to take a look at your project on your device. So your project will open through this Expo Go application on your device, and that's pretty cool. And it's easy to set up. It's a really fantastic solution, and I will use this approach in the next video where we will implement the barcode scanner, because I need an actual device to scan the barcodes, in our case QR codes. So this is one solution. In this video I will be using the simulator which comes with Xcode, and this is the second solution. So you need to download Xcode for this approach. Xcode is pretty heavy, and we won't be using Xcode for development. However, it enables us to run a simulator, and I want to run my application in this part on a simulator. So I will be using Xcode. And then you have also Android Studio. I never used Android Studio, but it also comes with a simulator. So those are the two options: Expo Go, or running on a simulator through Xcode or Android Studio. So now let's go back to our terminal. Let's access our events app, and let's start the development server. npx expo start. Okay, and if you are using Expo Go, then you need to scan this QR code. All right, I will be using the simulator, so I will press I at this moment. And I'm using iPhone 12. Let's wait a few seconds more. It's loading. Okay, and this is what we get at the very beginning. So now I'm going to quit the development server, and then I'm going to open Visual Studio Code. So let's navigate now to app.js, and if you know React.js, you will probably see some similarities over here. And the biggest one, I think, is that both React.js and React Native come with a functional main app component. The differences are in the return statement. So in React.js, we have some parent elements which are represented by, for example, React fragment or a tag like div. Probably most of the time you will use div. And then you have some other tags like h1, paragraph, and so on. And here you actually need to use components that you import from React Native. So we are dealing over here with StyleSheet for the styles. We will talk about styles a little bit later. Text, view, and we have also a status bar from Expo. So before we actually continue, I just want to talk about those components, and we will do this by going to the React Native documentation, and I'm at core components section, and here we have some basic React Native components and corresponding web tags. So we can actually compare that the div is actually our view. Okay, so here's our view as the main component, and we have a corresponding web tag as div. Unless we have a scrollable view, then we need to use a scroll view, and this is also corresponding to a div. Our paragraph, on the other hand, is represented by text, our image by image, our input by text input. And then we also have some corresponding native views for Android and iOS. So again, we will use React Native to write our code, which will be later compiled into Android and iOS. So depending on what platform, this view will get compiled to this one if we are using Android, or if we are using iOS, it will get compiled into this one. So this is the basic idea. And now let's start to code in React Native. All right, so I'm back at Visual Studio Code, and right now we are going to write our first React Native code. And what I'm going to do is to get rid of this view wrapper and all its contents, all its children. And I'm going to place a new one without any styling. And here I'm going to place some text. And here is a very important remark. So in React Native, you can't place the text directly into the view. In web development, you could do this. You could place it directly into a div. However, this doesn't apply for React Native. So for React Native, you have to use a dedicated text component. Okay, and here you can now write hello world. All right, let's get rid of this styling. Let's save this. And let's run the development server again, npx expo start. Okay, and I'm going to press R just to reload this simulator. Okay, and here is our hello world. So it's moved into the top left corner. And this is because we got rid of all our styling. And since we are developing this app on iPhone 12, we have this notch over here, and we have this, I don't know how it's called, this line down below. And basically our contents could interfere with those elements. So for iOS, we have a special view called Save Area View, which we can use. And now we have a guarantee that our contents won't interfere with those elements. So I'm going to save this, go back, and as you can see, we have hello world over here. So the next thing that we can do is to indicate in our application what is the platform on which the app is running. And we can use for this the platform. So we need to bring it from React Native. And then below, let's put in another text component. And now with the use of ternary operator, we can simply check the platform OS. And if it's equal to iOS, what we are going to do is to display iOS. And in other case, we are going to display, of course, Android, like this. Okay, and let's just put in platform. And let's save this, let's go back. And as you can see, we have platform iOS. So we have hello world, the platform. Let's go back and do something more. So since the fonts of our text are really small, let's do some inline styling. Here I'm going to place font size of 32, and then for the example below, I'm going to put in, let's say, 24, like this. Let's save this, and now we can see our fonts much clearer and much better. As the next example, let's add a view below the text, so we can nest the view in each other. So we have the main view, and then in the main view we can put another view, just like in web development with views. So here I'm going to also put in some inline styling. So first of all, I'm going to set the background color to maybe pink, and I'm going to give it a height of 1600. Let's save this. And the problem with this approach is that we are using an ordinary view, which isn't scrollable. So here we can place in some text again, hello world. And if we would like to scroll down, we would need to apply a scroll view. So we need to wrap this view, which we want to scroll, with a scroll view. Scroll view. So we are again importing it from React Native, and we need to wrap around the view that we want to scroll. All right, so let's save this. And as you can see, the hello world is visible. And then we can scroll all the way down. And this is basically how this works. Before we take a look at the button and the text input, let's not forget about the status bar. So I'm going to use this component which comes from Expo status bar just underneath the scroll view. So let's put in status bar, and I'm going to specify the style equal to dark. And this is basically the time, the Wi-Fi, the battery. If I change this to light, you can see that we don't see those additional informations anymore. So let's go back to dark. And now let's focus on the text input. The text input will be placed inside of this pink container. So maybe let's get rid of the hello world. Let's apply some padding over here. Padding, maybe let's add 20. And yeah, inside of this container with the pink background color, let's add a text input, and we are importing it again from React Native. So over here with the text input, we will need some properties, the default value property and the onChange text handler. So this onChange text handler updates the text every time we type something. So here we need to have some state for the default value and for the onChange text property. So we will use the useState hook. So useState, the initial value is going to be an empty string for the text, and we are going to update the text with the set text. All right, so now we can finish this. We can place in text as the default, and over here we can put in the onChange text set text and pass in the text. Okay, let's save this and let's take a look at this text input. It's invisible right now, but if you click on it somewhere over here, you will see that there's a place that you can type. So let's write something. Hello world. Okay, so this doesn't look nice. It's invisible, so let's change this by adding some inline styling again. And I'm going to put in border width. I'm going to set it as 1, and then I'm also going to add some padding, 10. Save this, and there it is. All right. So let's also add a button underneath this text input. So again, we are going to import it directly from React Native. And here we just need to specify the title. I'm just going to put in over here, maybe click me or press me. Okay, and once we press it, we would like to console log again hello world. All right, so let's save this and let's see if this is working. I'm going to click press me, hello world. There it is. So what's worth noting is that the button may look a little bit different if you are working on Android. So right now, if we take a look at the button, it looks on iOS like a link. So on Android, it will have some background, okay? So it will look more like a button. This looks more, as mentioned before, like a link. If we would like to use the built-in components to React Native, we can use touchable opacity instead. So we could write touchable opacity. Okay, so this is again imported from React Native, and we can place in some text. Let's put in click me to. Let's also now add some styling to this touchable opacity. And this touchable opacity can be not only a button, it can also represent, for example, a clickable card. Because on the view component that we have, where is the view component? Over here, you can't use on press. This won't work, all right? So it will work though on the touchable opacity. So here you can specify that the on press will give us again hello world in the console. Let's put in hello world too. Okay, and let's go back to the styling very quickly. Let's do something simple. We will talk about styling in greater details a little bit later. So I'm just going to put in some padding. I'm going to put in some background color. Let's say that the background color will be purple. Here, let's add a style where the color of the font is going to be white. Let's also maybe add some width, and let's set it to maybe 150. And then let's also maybe give it some height of, say, 200, and let's see how this will work. So we have a huge button right now, all right? And if we would like to center the text, we will have to use justify content center and align items center. Okay, and maybe let's change the height to 100. And now we have a big button, which is in fact touchable opacity, and once we click on it, we see hello world 2. All right, so the styling works pretty well. However, the code doesn't look nice if we use the inline styling all the time. And with the style sheet, we have an interesting alternative. And this alternative already has been shown with the basic example. So let's recreate it. We are going to put in a const called styles, and this is going to be equal to StyleSheet create. And here in this object, we want to specify what we are styling. So for example, let's first focus maybe on this view, okay? So I'm going to call it maybe the pink container. And here, if we take all the inline styling, cut it, paste it inside of this pink container, we can now use the pink container in our view. So we need to reference the styles, and then what do we want to, which style we want to apply. So in our case, the pink container. So let's do it. Styles, pink container. Okay. We can maybe change it to purple just to show you that this actually works. So as you can see, there it is. Let's go back to pink. Okay. And let's maybe do another one. So we have this touchable opacity. So let's call this BTN. Again, I'm going to head over to the styles. I'm going to simply cut everything out of here. And then we will have styles btn, and here we are going to paste those styles. So we have padding, background purple, width, height, justify, content, align items, center. Let's save this, and as you can see, this is working as well. By the way, if you are wondering why we have justify content and align items specified without writing display is equal to flex, this is because flex is added by default. So you don't need to write it again because this is the default option, all right? So yeah, right now I think we can move forward and we will focus on creating a very basic navigation system using the stack navigator. So we will be able to move between the screens. So we can go forward, we can go back. And for this, we will actually need to delete all the contents or most of the contents of this app screen just to make it a little bit more readable. And we need to create a new folder called screens. So here, what I'm going to do is to place a home screen JS. And I'm also going to place in an event detail screen JS. Okay, so we will work with some dummy event data. We will have a home screen with the list of events. And once we click on a certain event, we will be taken to the detail screen. And then from the detail screen, we will be able to go back to the home screen. So let's create those screen components. We'll need to put in the view from React Native. And let's just put in text from React Native as well. Text, there it is, home screen, or maybe let's put in, this is the home screen, like this. Let's also bring in StyleSheet. Const styles is equal to StyleSheet create. And here we can put in screen, and I'm going to add some padding to the main view component. So here you can place in style is equal to styles screen. Style screen, like this. Okay, so we can go ahead and save this, and I'm just going to copy this and put it in the event detail screen. So here we just need to change the name. Let's put in event detail screen, and this is going to be, this is event detail screen. All right, so we have two screens, one for the home screen, the second one for the event detail. And right now we need to create another folder, this time for navigation. And here I'm going to create a stack.js file, and we will work on it soon, but first we need to install Stack Navigator. And in order to use this Stack Navigator, we actually need to install a React Navigation, and we will be using React Navigation version 6. So what you need to do right now is go to read the docs, and then we have the getting started section, and here we have installation. So we need to grab this, and then we are using expo set. So let's also grab this, paste it in the terminal. So I want you to do it right now, and then let's do the same for the Stack Navigator. So this is the Stack Navigator that we are going to use. So we are going to build something like this. And here we have also some installation steps. So please copy npm install React Navigation Stack. And also, since we are using expo, npx expo install React Native Gesture Handler. All right, and we will see each other in a few seconds. All right, so I hope you guys didn't have any issues with the installation. Right now we can actually go to our example and we can simply copy it and paste it in our stack.js. What I'm going to do right now is to adjust this a little bit. I'm going to put in export const and I'm going to call this home stack. And we need to adjust it. So we are bringing in the create stack navigator. We are creating a stack, and then we need to display the screens that we want to put in a certain stack. So the home is going to be our main screen, and this is going to be the home screen. And then we will have the event. And by the way, the names are very important because we will be navigating between those screens using the name. So let's write now the component event details screen. Okay, it's auto imported perfectly. So for now in our stack, we have 2 screens. All right. So as the next step, let's take a look at the app.js. Here, as mentioned before, it's time now to delete all the or most of the contents. So I'm going to get rid of the use state, the contents of the return statement, the styles. And what I'm going to bring in is a navigation container. Okay, so I'm importing navigation container from React Navigation Native. And inside of this navigation container, now I'm going to put in home stack. And it's automatically imported from navigation stack. So I don't need anymore any of those components. I don't need use state, and I'm going to get rid of the status bar as well. I'm just going to keep in the home stack. I'm going to save this, and here we are. So now what we need to do is, of course, okay, so it's been reloaded right now, so it's working. So here is the home screen, perfect. All right, as the next step, we need to have some kind of a button maybe to click and go to the details screen. All right, so before we implement the dummy data, let's do something extremely simple. So since we are having a home stack, which is currently displaying our home screen, and we want to navigate from our home screen to our detail screen, we need to do something in our home screen. So here, let's bring in a button, and let's write on press. And here we will have the navigation logic. So first of all, let's give it a title, move to detail. Okay, and now let's bring in the use navigation hook and set this to navigation. So navigation is equal use navigation, and now we can go to our on press property over here and write navigation, navigate, and where do we want to navigate? As mentioned before, the names specified in the stack are very important. So in our case, we want to navigate to the event. So let's go back to the home screen and let's pass in event. And let's press move to detail. All right. It seems to be working. Okay. So we move to the detail screen. This is event detail screen. And then we have the back option to go to home. And there we are. Okay, so the basic navigation system between 2 screens currently work. So as the next step, let's go back to our project and to Visual Studio Code and create, let's create 2 additional folders. The first one is going to be data. And here I'm going to create a dummy.js file, and I'm going to paste some dummy data with the title, of course, IDs and the description. So this is a very simple data structure with 12 objects. Okay, so let's save this, and we'll also need an additional folder for the components. So here I'm going to create a components directory, and inside of the components directory I will create another one called events, and here I will place two files. So we will have the event list.js, and we will also have the event item.js. So let's begin with the event list. Let's create an event list component, which for now is going to be very simple. So let's just put some text over here. Event list, like this, and we need to do imports for the view and for the text. Okay, like this. And now we can save this. We can go to the home screen, and we can place it over here. So event list. All right, let's save this and let's see how it looks. Okay, we have an event list. All right, so now it's time to go actually to the event list and bring in the dummy data. So in React Native, we have a better alternative for displaying large scrollable amounts of data. So we are not using map. We could, but it's not recommended because there's a better solution called Flatlist. And this Flatlist component, it's again imported from React Native. And here what we can do is to just bring it in. And now we need to do some additional configuration beginning from the data. So the data is going to be set to our dummy data. All right, this is the first point. Then, just like in map, we need to specify the key. But here we will have the key extractor, and we will select the item ID. What do we have next? Let's bring in the render item. So the render item will tell us how do we want to display a single object. So this is going to be another function that we need to write in our project. So let's write render item, and we'll destructurize an item. And here we can simply return, and let's just return a text for now, because this is going to be related to the event item. So in this render item, we are going to return an event item with a link to the event detail screen. But for now, as mentioned before, let's just display the item title, okay? And yeah, we can specify a lot more things over here. So we can specify pull to refresh, scroll loading, multiple columns. So for example, if we specify num columns as 2, we will have our data displayed in 2 columns. The default is 1, and I'm going to keep it that way for now at least. And we can also implement infinite scroll in a very easy way. So for now, let's see if this what we have will be enough. I'm going to save the event list, and as you can see, we have our titles displayed. So let's try something. I'm going to put in num columns and set it to 2. Changing num columns on the fly is not supported. Okay, so we are going to simply reload it, and as you can see right now, we have our data in 2 columns. So let's go back to getting rid of this num columns. We don't need it. We only want the default option for now at least. And yeah, this is the flat list. We will then add some additional options, like for example, okay, maybe let's add it right now. If we go to the item title, and we will wrap it with an additional div, an additional view, sorry. And here we would add some inline styling with some padding set to, let's say, 40. You can see that this is scrollable. This is the first thing. This is scrollable, so it's awesome. And the other thing is that we can now specify the refresh control. So refresh control, and here we will need to implement the refresh control component. So let's try to auto import it, refresh control. All right, and then the current state refreshing is set to false, and then we need to specify what will happen on refresh. So normally we would have a handler for getting the data, new amounts of data, but for now let's just write console log refreshing, something like this. Okay, so and we need to close this component like this. So let's save this and let's see if this is working. Okay, you saw a spinner over here and we have refreshing. All right, so this comes also with a Flatlist. So Flatlist is really awesome. Okay, so basically what we need to do right now is to get rid of this view over here. We want to return an event item. So for now, let's save this and let's go back to the event item. Let's create this component really quickly. Event item, SFC event item. We want to pass an ID, a title, and a description. So we want the title and the description to be visible within the component. And in terms of the ID, by the ID, we will be able to access the event detail screen, okay? So it's also very important. So what we are going to return is a touchable opacity. So we want this card that we are going to build to be clickable. So touchable opacity, we are going to bring it from React Native, and then we are going to specify on press. For now, let's just write it this way. We will finish it soon. And it's not a self-closing component, it's actually a wrapper. And inside of this touchable opacity, we are going to display the title. And we are also going to display the description. Okay. And let's just define some styles. So we need to bring in StyleSheet from React Native. Okay, and let's create a simple card. And let's maybe set a border width to maybe 1. Let's add some border color. Let's set it to light gray. So I'm going to put in C5, C5, C5. We'll also add some border radius. Let's put in 10 maybe. And also margin vertical. So we want some spacing between the objects. Let's also add some padding. Let's add 30 maybe. All right. And now we can add the style to touchable opacity. So styles card, just like this. Let's save this. Go back to the event list. Let's bring in the event item, and let's pass in the ID as item ID, the title as item title, and the description as item description. Okay, and can't find variable text. So, okay. Let's try it out now. Okay, and it seems to be working. So we can, if we pull it, we have this refresh controller, and we can scroll it, we can click on it. But of course, nothing is happening just yet. So now it's time to actually move to the detail event screen. And in order to do that, we need to go to, of course, to our event item, which is the case right now. So here again, we are going to bring in the use navigation, and let's set a const navigation equal to use navigation. And now over here on press, we can write navigation navigate, and we want to go to the event. So again, we are referring to the view, and then we can specify the parameter. In our case, it's going to be an ID, and we can name it whatever we want. We can call it event ID like this, and we need to set it with the actual ID that we are passing to this event item. Okay. So now if we save this and press, we are taken to the event details screen. However, as you can see, we don't have any info visible about this particular event. And this is because we still need to do some work on the event details screen. So let's go to this event details screen. Here, what we want to do is to maybe, first of all, let's bring in the useRoute hook, which will enable us to get the ID that is passed over here, okay? So this is our job, to get the event ID, all right? So let's do it very quickly. In the event details screen, we will use the useRoute hook in order to do this. All right, so we have it imported from React Navigation. Const route is equal to useRoute, and now we can destructurize the event ID, and we can pick it up from route params. All right? So this is event detail screen 4, and we can pass in the event ID, and let's make the text a little bit bigger. So let's set the style, and here let's set the font size to 20. Let's save this, and as you can see, this is event detail screen for 1. Then we have for 2, or 3, and so on. So this is working. What else we can do is to actually not only to pass the event ID, we can pass some additional information, like for example the title or the description. So we need to go back to the event item, and here I'm just going to keep the names the same. So I can write title like this and the description. Okay, I don't need to specify a separate key value like title. Since the naming is the same, I can write it like this, the title and the description. So I'm going to save this and go back to the event detail screen. And here I'm also going to pick up the title and the description. All right, so now I can maybe below, I'm just going to copy this and paste over here over here the title, and again copy and paste, and here we will have the description. Okay, let's take a look if this is working, and in fact it is. Alright guys, so this was a pretty long tutorial, and frankly speaking, it was a little bit longer than expected. That's why I'm going to move the Flexbox practice onto the next part. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this tutorial, if you learned something, please leave a like, leave a comment. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing. And hopefully we will see each other in part number 2. Wish you all a great day and see you soon. Take care and bye-bye. Welcome to the second part of the Django and React Native tutorial series. In this one, we are going to extend our simple stack navigation and nest it into a drawer navigation. So let me show you exactly what we are going to create. Over here, I have a menu button. When I press it, we can see a nice side navigation, and we have our event stack. We will also add a simple profile stack and a more info button, which will take us to google.com if we press it. And we can return to Expo Go, and we will also have an image at the top of our navigation. So this is what we are going to create. And without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so this is where we finished off the last time. So we have a simple stack navigation added, and right now we are going to extend the navigation system for our application by adding a drawer navigation and nesting the stack navigation that we created and adding more to our drawer navigation. So if this seems complicated, I'm going to walk you through step by step on how to do this. So the first step is, of course, to install drawer navigation. For this, we need to head over to the official documentation. So I'm at reactnavigation.org, and what we need to do over here is to find drawer navigator. And basically over here we have a demonstration of the very basic drawer navigation that we are going to create in the first step. So in order to achieve this result, we need to follow the steps below, and we need to start from the installation, of course. So first of all, let's install React Navigation Drawer. I'm going to copy this comment. I'm going to quit the development server from running, and I'm going to paste it. All right. Then if we have a managed project in Expo, we need to also install React Native Gesture Handler and React Native Reanimated. So I'm going to copy this as well and paste it. All right. So then we also need to go to the step number 2, where the documentation tells us basically to not skip this step, because our application might work well in the development mode if we don't import React Native Gesture Handler. However, it may crash in the production. So let's not skip this step. Let's go to app.js, and at the top, let's bring in import React Native Gesture Handler. All right. So this is it. And the third step, I think it's not necessary for Expo projects, but yeah. Anyway, let's copy it. Let's paste it. And yeah, we have confirmation that CocoaPods is not supported in this project. All right. So this step seems to be redundant over here. Anyways, let's continue. We have over here a very simple example of drawer navigation, and the logic is very similar to the stack navigator. So we are importing create drawer navigator. We are instantiating this drawer navigation. Then we have a function called, in this case, my drawer, and we have a main parent component, which is a drawer navigator. And inside we add screens that we want to add to this drawer navigator. All right. So once the drawer navigation opens, we will see feed and article in this case. Let's copy everything from over here. Let's go to our events application. Let's open up the navigation section, the navigation directory. And here let's add a drawer.js file. Okay, I'm going to simply paste what I have copied from the documentation, and I'm going to adjust it a little bit. I'm going to Right, export const, let's call this as it is. So let's leave it my drawer. And then let's turn this to an arrow function where we will have only one screen available, and it's going to be our home screen. So home, and let's bring in home screen. All right, so let's save this and let's bring it into app.js. So over here we have our home stack, and now what we need to do is to bring in our drawer. So my drawer, there it is. Let's save it. And let's see if this is actually going to work. So npx expo start. All right. I'm going to hit R to refresh the simulator. And as you can see, there are some issues. At least I have some issues. So if you have these kinds of problems, there's one additional step, and that's it's not visible in the documentation. However, I'm going to show you how to deal with those kinds of errors. We need to go back to Visual Studio Code, open up our Babel config.js, and add a plugin for React Native Reanimated. Okay, so let's save this, and now let's hope everything is going to work. I'm going to press R. Okay, let's quit the development server and run npx expo start -- clear. All right, and now let's press R. All right, so now we have this drawer navigation, and as you can see, it's working. So we have our home screen available. However, the problem is right now that our stack navigation doesn't work. And right now I'm going to prove it to you. See, we have an error. So in our case, we don't want to nest a screen because a screen is only representation of the screen. We lose our navigation to the detail page. So in order for this to work, we actually need to nest inside of the drawer navigation, not a screen like we did over here, but our stack. So we need to bring in our home stack into the drawer navigation. So let's do this. Home stack. Let's get rid of this home screen. Let's save this. And I'm going to reload the page. Okay, we have some... this is just a warning. This is just a warning because we have navigation nested in another navigation with the same name. So let's ignore this just for a second. Now we have our home screen, and we still can use our stack navigation. All right. So in order for the errors to disappear, let's name this home2 just for now. We're going to reload it. And now everything seems to be okay. No errors, no errors anymore. All right. So we have home and home2. As the next step, let's play around with those navigations. Let's try to hide the home. So let's try to hide the header for the stack navigation first. All right. So what I'm going to do is to go to the stack navigator, and I'm going to access the screen options. And then as the next step, I'm going to set header shown as false. All right. Let's save this. Let's go back, and we don't see the navigation for the stack. All right. So now we only have the drawer navigation. However, if we access the page, the detail page, we now lose the option to go back. So this is not exactly what we want to do. Let's go back to our stack navigator. Let's cut the screen options. Let's save the stack.js. Let's go to the drawer and let's paste this code into the drawer navigator, all right? And here in the drawer screen, let's also add some options. So actually for now, let's add one option, which is going to be the title. And let's set it simply to home. And this, let's name not home2, but home stack. All right. So now let's save this. And as you can see, we have home. However, this is not exactly what we wanted as well, because right now we lost our navigation button. Okay. So what we can do right now is to set up some navigation options for our stack navigator. And we can say that, for example, according to those options, we would like to see over here a logo. Over here, we would like to see a hamburger menu. The background should be, for example, pink, and this font color should be, for example, blue or yellow. Okay, let's try to do this by going back to Visual Studio Code. Let's create an options.js file. And over here, let's export const nav options, and this function will take in a navigation. All right, and then we will simply return, and here we need to decide what we want to return. Let's start slowly. So what I'm going to do is maybe to set the header tint color, and right now let's just write header tint color, and let's set it, for example, to red. Okay, so this is the first step. Right now what we need to do is to go to our stack navigation, and here we need to use those navigation options. So in the stack navigator, let's write screen options, and right now we will use our nav options. It's not going to auto import, so I'm going to have to do it manually, unless if I try it over here, nav options. There it is. Perfect. Okay, nav options, and then we need to pass the navigation. So over here, let's try to also auto import use navigation. Let's set navigation is equal to use navigation, and now we can pass the navigation in our nav options. Let's save this and let's see if this will work. And there it is. Our header tint color has changed to red. As the next step, let's install Expo Vector Icons. We will need this for our hamburger menu. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to quit the development server from running. Let's wait a few seconds. All right. And now we can run Expo one more time. It's not necessary to run it with the clear option. I did it by accident, you can say. Okay. And now we can actually go back to our options.js file, and let's configure this a little bit more. So I'm going to change the header tint color to CBD5E1. Then I'm going to set the header style. And here I'm just going to set the background color, and let's set it to 0F17 to A, like this. Let's save this. And now we have a little bit darker color. So right now the issue is that we don't see our status bar. So let's go back to app.js and let's bring in status bar from Expo. let's set the style to light. Let's save this. And there it is, okay? Now we can go back to our options.js. So we have set the header tint color, the header style. Let's also set the right section, all right? So for the right section, we need to write header right. Okay, and I forgot about the comma. And here what we are going to set is maybe icon for opening the drawer. So this is why we are passing the navigation, because we need to toggle our drawer. So I'm going to go to ion icons. I'm going to use ion icons from expo vector icons. And I'm going to set the name to, excuse me, menu. I'm going to set the size to 32, okay, 32. The color, let's set it just to white. And then on press, what we want to do is to toggle our navigation. So on press, we want to toggle our navigation. So let's do it this way, nav, and then toggle drawer. Okay, so this should work if we close our ion icons component. Let's save this, and we have our menu burger, which should open our drawer, and there it is. Okay, so as you can see, this is working. So let's also set something on the left side. So for now, I'm just going to keep it extremely simple, and I'm going to place header left, and what we want to return over here is a text component. Text, let's bring it from React Native, and let's place in logo, and let's add some inline styling for the color. Let's set it also to white. Let's set the font size to 20, and maybe add some padding on the left, 5. Okay, let's save this, and there it is. Okay, so we have logo, and then we have our menu button for the drawer. Unfortunately, this doesn't solve our problems, at least not all of them, because what will happen if I access any detail page? So maybe let's go with the first one. Okay, over here we have a situation that we see the correct screen, we see the correct data, however we can't go back. And the only way to go back is by restarting the application, because we can't go to home, because we are still in the home stack. This is absolutely correct. So what we want to do is to move to the previous screen, but we unfortunately can't. So only for the detail screen, instead of logo, let's just put here some back button, all right? And we need to do it in the detail screen. So if we go back to Visual Studio Code, and let's go to screens and then event detail screen, and over here below the route params, let's write use layout effect. We will use layout effect instead of use effect, and I'm going to explain this in my next React.js tutorial. So if you are interested, I should release it quite soon. It's a matter of days. Okay, and then I'm going to access the navigation set options like this. And here I'm going to do some modifications. For example, okay, and also let's leave an empty dependency array, and then let's return to setting the navigation options only for the event detail screen. So here, for example, I can put in a new title. Header title. Let's set it to a new title. For example, detail, or let's just put in new title. Let's keep it simple. Okay. So let's save this. And we can't find variable navigation, so we need to bring in navigation. So navigation, or let's bring in the use navigation hook first. We have a auto import, and let's assign navigation to use navigation. Okay, now this should work. Let's go to the detail page, and as you can see, we have a new title. All right. Okay, so what we need to do right now is to set the header left. Header left. Okay, and here we want to use a header back button. And unfortunately, in the previous version, the header back button was imported from React Navigation stack directly. And right now in the new one is imported from React Navigation elements. And I'm not so sure it works 100% correctly. I might be wrong. However, let's take a look at it. So I've imported header back button from React Navigation elements. And now I'm going to simply return this header back button. Okay. And what I'm going to do right now is to set the tint color to white. And what we want to do on press is to simply go back. So we can write navigation, go back. And let's close this header back button. Let's save it. And unfortunately, we don't see the label for our home screen. So even if I set the label to, for example, previous screen, or just previous, and I made a mistake, label, like this doesn't work. And I have to check why, because I'm not quite sure. Okay, so let's see if the functionality works. So I'm going to press this button and we are back in our main screen, all right? Okay, so now what we are going to do is to add the profile stack. So we will create two simple screens for two reasons. The first one is we don't want this drawer navigation to only have one option. The second thing is let's practice how to add another navigation option into the drawer navigation, because as you remember probably, it's not about creating a screen, it's about creating a stack. So first of all, we need to create the screens, then put them into a stack, and then the stack needs to land in the drawer navigation. Okay, so let's do it very quickly. We need to return to our Visual Studio Code. In the screens directory, I'm going to create another one called profiles. Let's keep it simple. Okay, and then we will have a profiles screen, JS. And if this would be only a screen that is just to display some profiles without the option to see the details of those profiles, this would be enough. We could go directly into the drawer and register this screen as an option. However, as mentioned before, let's practice adding stacks. So in this case, what I'm going to do is to add also a profile detail screen. Okay, and what I'm going to do is to simply copy and paste them. So this looks basically exactly as the screen for the event detail. Okay, it even has the same title. Let's remove this. And over here, we are just returning and displaying the profile ID, which we get from route params. And this profile ID is going to be fixed. So in the profile screen, what we are going to return is a text and a button which will navigate us to the profile. And this navigation navigate works because we are going to register a screen in our stack named profile, all right? So we will do this in just a second. And then as you can see, the profile ID is 1. So over here, let's just save this profile screen, and in the profile detail, we are picking this profile ID, which will always be 1 in this particular case. So as mentioned before, let's go to the stack, because this is the next thing that we need to do. And again, I'm just going to copy and paste this profile stack. So over here we have the main screen as profiles, and this is our profile screen, and then we have a profile details screen below named profile. Okay, I need to also take care of the imports, and right now everything should be working, except we need also to add this to our drawer. So let's save the stack.js and let's go to the drawer.js, and let's copy the drawer screen, and we will do something very similar. So let's name this profile stack. Let's bring in the profile stack, and as the title we will set profiles. Let's save this, and let's see if this is working. Okay, so we have home and profiles. We can go to profiles, and then we can visit some profile, and we have this back button, and this is our main screen. So now we can navigate between two stacks. In the home, we can access our event detail, and then if we move to the profiles, we can access some profile. All right, it seems pretty simple. So before we finish this video, I would like to show you how to adjust this drawer menu just a little bit by adding an image at the top, by adding a drawer item with a link to google.com at the end, and also let's change the background color. Okay, so in order to do this, let's go back to our drawer.js, and I'm going to delete this drawer navigator wrapper at the top and simply paste the ready code, and I'm going to explain everything in just a second. So how this works is basically by imagining that you have a drawer item list, and the drawer item list are your screens. Okay, so whenever you do it this way, that you return in the drawer content, you return a view. So in our case, it's a save area view since I'm working on iOS. You will have to put somewhere the drawer item list. And as mentioned before, this is the drawer item list. So right now, what you can do is to add, for example, an image at the top. So before the drawer item list appears. So in this case, this is our drawer item list. This is item 1, this is item 2. So as you can see before, we are placing an image, and actually I got this image from Pixabay, and right now I need to place it in the proper place. So we need to go to assets. Here, let's create a folder images. Inside of images, let's add another folder logos, and let's place it over here. Okay, so this is the image that we are going to use, and we have a safe area view with some inline styling. We have some styling for the view, and I also need to bring in the styles for the logo. So actually I can do it also as inline styling. So let's set the width to 100, and the resize mode, resize mode should be set to contain. Okay, so let's save this, and this won't work because we are missing some imports, of course. So image, let's try it over here. image from React Native. There it is. We also need a view and a safe area view. Safe area view. All right, let's try it. We also need a drawer item list, of course. Drawer item list. All right. Let's see if this will work or not. I'm going to press reload. And there it is, as you can see. So we've set the background color in the safe area view. Okay, here is the background color. And we have our image, which is in images logos logo. Okay, so this is working as well. And then we have our drawer item list. So as the next step, we can add a drawer item below this drawer item list with a link to google.com. So right now what we need to do is to go actually below the drawer item list. So over here, and bring in drawer item from React Navigation Drawer. Okay. And this is a self-closing component. Let's set the label to more info, for example. And then we need to specify what will happen on press. So on press, we want to navigate to google.com, and we can do this by using linking. So we need to bring in linking from React Native. So linking, there it is. Okay. And then we simply need to write open URL, and we need to specify what URL do we want to open. So in our case, it's going to be google.com. Okay. And let's return and see if it's working. So over here we have more info. And as you can see, we are taken to google.com. So in fact, this is working. So the last thing that I want to show you in this tutorial is how to add icons to our items that we have in our drawer navigation. So we will first attack the drawer item. So in our case, it's more info. And then we will take care of the drawer screens, home and profiles. Okay, so we will again use expo vector icons. Let's go to the drawer item, and over here let's set the icon. So we are going to return, as mentioned before, and vector icon. So we will use ion icons, and the name is going to be information like this, and the size I'm going to set to 22. Okay, let's save this, and we have our icon over here. All right, so as the next step, let's take care of the home and the profiles. So in the drawer screen, also in the options, let's write drawer icon. And here, let's simply, again, return an ion icon, and the name is going to be home in this case, and also the size is going to be set to 22. Okay. So of course, there needs to be a comma. Let's copy this drawer icon and let's place it in the drawer screen for the profiles. And here the name is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be face man profile. Okay, let's save this. Let's go back, and I think I made a mistake. Face man profile. Oh, okay, it's going to be not ion icon this time. It's going to be material community icons. Okay, so we are going to use this time material community icons, not ion icons. So let's save this, and there it is. All right, so we have a drawer navigation working. We have nested actually our stack navigations into our drawer navigation, and we've added an additional drawer item into our main navigation. In our case, the main navigation is our drawer navigation. So I think we can finish off over here. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and we will continue in the next one. Have a great day, take care, and bye-bye. Hi guys, in this video we are going to add bottom tab navigation to our navigation system. So at the home screen, we will additionally see this navigation where we can switch between the events list and the QR code scan functionality, which we will add probably in the next or 2 videos. So this bottom tab navigation will appear only at the home screen, okay? So if we go to the profiles, we won't see it. If we go back to home, we will see it. And then if we go to an event detail screen, we won't see the bottom tab navigation. So it will be added only for the main screen, okay? So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. All right, guys, so this is where we left off the last time. And in order to get started with setting up the bottom tab navigation, we need to go to the official documentation. So let's go to React Navigation version 6, and we need to find bottom tabs navigator, and we need to install bottom tabs. So let's copy this. Let's go to the terminal, quit the development server from running, and let's wait a few seconds for the installation to be complete. All right, and as the next step, we need to understand how do we want to nest our navigations together. So far we have a situation where we took a particular screen, put it in the stack, and then nested the stack in the drawer. Right now the situation will be, for the home screen only, a little bit more complex. So we will have a screen, then we will put it in a tab, in a bottom tab navigation. Then we will take this tab and nest it into the stack, and then the stack will be nested in the drawer. All right? So let's try this out. I'm going to copy this example over here, and then I'm going to go to Visual Studio Code to navigation, and here I'm going to create a tabs.js file. I'm going to paste the example from the documentation. The name I'm going to change, as well as I'm going to change this function to an arrow function. So it will be home tabs. And we want to export it as well. So export const home tabs, okay? And we will need to import the home screen. So now it's auto imported. And let's create another screen for the QR codes, okay? We will use it in the future. So QR code screen JS, all right. QR code screen, and let's return a view. Here, let's just put in a text with QR code scan or something like this, all right? We will also bring in a style sheet. All right, and here let's create a variable styles, assign style sheet create. Let's set up a screen, and let's just add a padding of 20. And now we can assign style is equal to styles dot screen. All right, so we have already QR code screen. All right, so now let's go back to tabs, and let's place over here QR code screen, and let's place QR code as the name. All right, so we can now save our tabs.js file. And as mentioned before, we now need to nest our home tabs in the stack. So we need to find the home stack. And now instead of the home screen, we will place over here the home tabs, which consists of the home screen. Okay, so this home screen is already in the home tabs. So let's place over here the home tabs. Okay, now we can go ahead and save this, and then I will run the development server again. Okay, and this is the result. So we have a home tab and a QR code tab. However, this doesn't look nice because we see those question marks over here. So we need to do some further adjustments, but before we dig into it, let's see if the switching part works. Okay, so I'm going to go to QR code and we see this QR code scan. However, over here we also see the header from this bottom tab navigation. And over here we see this header as well. All right, so as mentioned before, there are still some customization to do. Let's get into it. So before we actually go to the tabs, we need to fix one issue related to our navigation system. And mainly we have an issue, a problem with naming. So home appears twice in our navigation system and we need to change this. So as you can see in the stack, we have name home, and in the tabs, we also have a name home. So let's fix this. Here I'm going to place home tabs like this as the name. And I'm going to use the options to simply set the title to home. Okay, I'm going to comment this out just for a second to show you that right now we have home tabs, and then if I save it with the options, with the title set as home, we have home again. All right, so now we can actually go to the tab navigator, and here we will do some further adjustments. So what I'm going to do is to set up some screen options. We are picking up the route because the route will be necessary a little bit later on. But for now, let's focus on getting rid of those headers for our bottom tab navigation. So we want to get rid of home and we want to get rid of QR code. All right. So this is fairly simple. We just need to write header shown and set it to false. Okay, let's save this. And as you can see, no more issues with the headers. All right, so as the next step, I'm going to adjust the tab bar label. So as you can see, currently we have them visible, and maybe in some cases, in some projects, you don't need to display the label home and QR code. Okay, to get rid of those labels, you just need to set up tab bar show label to false. Okay, and this solves the problem. Of course, right now it's very difficult to navigate between two screens because we don't have icons that represent a particular screen. Okay, but we will fix this soon. The next setting is tab bar style. Tab bar style, there it is. All right, and here we can set up the background color. So let's change it to black. Okay, and now our tab bar is black. This is really that simple. Now we can change the active tint color and inactive tint color. So currently the active tint color is blue and inactive tint color is gray. So let's go back and let's change this tab bar active tint color. Let's change it to yellow, and tab bar inactive tint color, let's set it to, for example, red. Okay, so now we see that the active is yellow, and currently we are at the home screen. And then if we change it to QR code, we see that the home screen became red. All right, so yeah, gray is a more proper color for displaying inactive tint color. So I'm just going to comment this out. And right now we will go to the top bar icon, right? From here, we will pick up focused, we will pick up the color, and we will pick up the size. Okay, so first of all, let's create a variable icon name. And now we will use the route that we have over here, okay? We will check if the route name is home tab, and we will set the icon name to, for example, home, which is filled, the icon which represents a home filled, or a home outlined, all right? So if this is unclear, just follow along. So first of all, we will get this route and we will check if the route name is equal to, and then we need to use this name over here, home tabs, okay? And if this is the case, what we are going to do is to set the icon name to focused. And if this is the case, if this is focused, then we will have home. And in other case, we will have home outline, like this, all right? Then we will have else if, and then again, if route name is equal to, and then we will grab this QR code, all right? And if this is the case, we will do something very similar, but we will have over here QR code, and then QR code outline, just like this. All right, and then finally we can return, and then we will use ion icons again, and we will set the name as icon name, and then the size will be let's set it to for example, we will see if it's focused, then we will have 35, and if it's not focused, we will have the default size, and then we will have the color. Okay, so yeah, let's save this. We have an issue, so yeah, I forgot to close this ion icons component. Let's save this. And as you can see right now, we have the focused icon bigger. And we first of all, we see actually the icons. And then if we go to a particular screen, the screen is set to focused. And this means that the size is, yeah, displaying according to those settings. So we have a default setting, I think it's 25. And then we see some colors, and the colors have been set over here. So this is the top bar active tint color, okay? If we change it to red, as you can see, the icon is now red. Okay, so let's go back to yellow. And this is basically it. You can, of course, create many tabs. I created only for the home. So you can create, for example, for the profiles, home tabs. And instead of 2 options down here, you can have, for example, 3 icons, all right? You just need to do exactly what I did, but for a different stack. That's it. So I think we can finish off over here. We have our navigation system completed. I think in the next part we will do the backend part. So we will do some coding in Django, and then we will take care of creating this QR code scan functionality. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Take care and bye-bye. In this video, we are going to replace our dummy data and create an actual backend in Django and Django Rest Framework. And then we are going to display the data that we created in our React Native application. So without further ado, let's get started. So for our React Native application, I started a brand new Django project and I didn't do with it anything just yet. So it's currently located on my desktop next to the events application, which is a React Native application. And right now I have two terminals open. So one is with the events application with the simulator, and the other one is for our backend. So what I'm going to do first is to run the migrations, create the tables, Python manage py migrate. Next, I'm going to create an events application. Then I'm going to create a super user so we can log into the Django administration. And finally, I'm going to install Django Rest Framework and Pillow, because we will be using an image field to store the path to the images for our QR codes. So let's install those dependencies. And now let's return to Visual Studio Code. We have our event application over here. So what we need to do is to go to settings py file and include it in the installed apps list. But before, we are going to place REST framework. Okay, and below we are going to place events. Then we are going to scroll all the way down, and below the static URL, we are going to add a media URL. So we will need the media configuration for our QR codes. So let's also add a media root. And here let's add based here, and then media. So now we can actually create the media directory in our main project directory. All right, so I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to head over to the events application. In the models py file, we are going to create a new class called event, and this is going to inherit from models.model. And the first field that we are going to define is the name, and this is going to be the models char field with the max length of 200. Then we will have the description of the event. So it can be a models text field, for example. Next, we will have the QR code. So this is going to be a models image field. And here what we are going to do is to specify that it's optional. So we will override the save method in just a few seconds, and then we are actually going to generate a QR code, which is going to be stored in our media directory, but the path will be stored in this image field. And we need to now specify that we want to upload this image to, for example, QR codes like this. So the QR code generated will be stored in the media directory, and with this QR code field that we are defining over here, we are going to store the path to this QR code. And then we will also have a date, and this is going to be a date field. Let's add a string representation method. And here let's just simply return str self name. Then let's override the save method. Here we are going to generate the QR code. So first of all, let's just place in this method, and in a second we are going to take care of QR code generation. Let's begin from the imports. So we forgot to actually install one dependency. I'm going to go back to the terminal and run pip install QR code. All right, and now we can import QR code, perfect. Then from IO, we want to import bytes.io, and from Django core files base, we want to bring in content file, and also from pill, we want to import image. All right, so now what we need to do is to check if the QR code hasn't been created. So if this field is empty, we want to generate a QR code. We want to create a QR code based off the name and then store the path to this QR code in the QR code field and the QR code image in the media files in the QR codes folder. So first of all, if not self QR code, and then we are going to create a QR code image from the name. So QR code EMG is equal to QR code make, and here let's pass in self name. All right. Then we are going to create a white canvas with the size of the QR code image. So canvas is equal to, and here we will have image new, and then we will pass in RGB, red, green, blue. I'm not going to explain everything from scratch because I made few tutorials on QR code generation in my previous videos. So I'm just going to speed things up a little bit. And I'm just going to focus on briefly explaining what is happening over here, okay? So now that we have the canvas created, we can paste the QR code into this particular canvas. So in order to do this, we just simply need to run canvas paste and then pass in this QR code image. Okay, so as the next step, let's create a file name for the image. So I'm going to create a variable fname, and with the use of fstring, I'm going to set the constant first. The constant is going to be QR code, and then I'm just going to put in self name, and at the end we will have the PNG format. Then we will create a byte.io buffer to store the image. So we will have buffer is equal to bytes.io. Okay, and next we will save the canvas as a PNG image to that buffer. So canvas, save, and we are going to place in the buffer and place in PNG as format. And now we can save the image to a file using the name. So self QR code save, we are going to pass in the file name. We are going to use content file for this operation, and to the content file we are going to pass in buffer get value, and we are going to set save is equal to false. So we are not going to save the QR code in this line because we are going to save it over here. So basically this is it. Hope it will work. We will find out shortly. I'm going to save the models py file, and I'm going to jump into the admin py file of the events application. I'm going to import the event from .models, and I'm going to register it. So admin site register, and we are going to pass in the event. All right, let's save this. Let's go back to the terminal. Python manage py make migrations. Okay, Python manage py migrate, and Python manage py run server. Let's log into the Django administration. And let's try to create an event. Test event, test description, and let's say that the date is going to be today, and then I'm going to save and continue editing. Okay, so we get page not found, and if we go to the media directory, we have this QR code generated. So the generation of a QR code is working. Storing the path is working as well. So we have this QR code image over here. But if we click on the path, we don't see the image. And what we need to do is to simply add the media files to the URL patterns. We forgot about this very basic step. So from Django conf, we want to import settings. And then from Django conf URL static, we want to import static. Okay. And then we are just going to add the media files to the URL patterns. Media URL. Okay, and then document root is equal to settings media root. All right, I'm going to save this and hit refresh, and there it is. All right, now everything is working. As the next step, let's go back to our backend project, and in the events directory, let's create an API folder, and here let's create 3 files. Serializers py, we'll also need a views py file, and the URLs py. So first of all, let's serialize our data. So we will need some imports from REST Framework. We want to import serializers, and then from .models, we want to bring in the event model. And then we can create a new class, which is going to be called event, maybe model serializer, which will inherit from serializer.model serializer. And here with the use of class meta, we are going to indicate that we are dealing with an event model. And then what fields do we want to include? Let's add an ID, name, description, and QR code. And also let's add a date. All right, so we have our serializer created. Now we can move on and take care of the views. So here we also need to grab something from REST Framework. And to be more precise, we want to import view sets. And then we will also grab in our model. So from .models, we want to import the event model. And also from serializers, we want to import our event model serializer. So now we can create a new class called event view set, which inherits from, or let's call it events view set. And this inherits from view sets dot model view set. All right. Here we need to specify the query set. We want to include all the events, so it will be event objects all. And then the serializer class is going to be event model serializer. All right, so as the final step, we need to take care of the URLs py file. So this isn't the final step, but the final step of creating those 3 files. So from REST Framework, here we want to import routers. Then what we want to do is to bring our view. So from .views, we want to import events view set. And from Django URLs, we want to import path and include. Okay, so now we are going to set the router as routers default router. And then we are going to register this events view set. So router register, and let's just keep it as events. So the path is going to be API and then events like this. We will add API to our main URLs in a few seconds. So now it's going to be events over here, and we need to pass in our event view set. Okay, and finally, we need to create the URL patterns. This is going to be the main path for our API path. So it's going to be, as mentioned before, API events. Okay. So here, what we need to do is to simply include the router URLs. Okay, and then these URL patterns need to be included in the main URLs py file. So let's import also include. All right, and then path API. And then what we want to do is to include, and we want to include events API URLs. So events API URLs. All right, let's save this and let's see if this will work. So I'm going to go to API events and we have page not found. And I made a very silly mistake. I forgot about the dash. Let's try it one more time. And there it is. Okay, so we have API and then we can move from here to events. And this is our events list. So if we go back to the Django administration, we can create a new event, test event 2, hello world. Let's save and continue editing. We have another QR code. And if you wish, you can add more events. I think 2 will be enough, at least for now. So now we have 2 events. And now what we need to do is to take the data from over here and include it in our React Native project. So in order to do that, let's go to our events app to the home screen. And over here, let's begin coding from importing the useEffect hook. And here we will simply fetch the data. So we need to create a function, fetch data. And this is going to be an async function. So we are going to fetch the data with the fetch method, which returns a promise. And we are going to handle this promise with the async await syntax. First of all, let's create a variable response is equal to await. And then we are going to use fetch. And I'm just going to grab this URL, paste it below as a string. And then let's add a variable data, and this is going to be await response.json. All right, and let's simply set our data, but first we need to import useState hook. So I'm going to try to do an auto import again, useState, there it is. Initially it's going to be an empty array. So here let's add const data set data, and we are going to simply set the data as data, and then to the event list we are going to pass in data as data, and we of course need to fetch the data inside of the useEffect. So let's save this, and then we need to go to the event list. So in our component directory, in the events folder, we have this event list. Now, instead of using dummy data, we are going to use actual events data. Okay, so we are going to receive data as prop. Let's destructurize it over here and let's pass it over here. So now we are going to put this data, so ID as item ID, title as item title, and here I think we have a mistake. So it's going to be item name. Let's change this over here as well. So we will have item ID, name item name, description item description, and let's also put in QR code. It's going to be item QR code like this. Okay, so we have, I'm going to make this bigger. We have name, description, QR code, and date. Okay, so I'm going to skip the date for now. Just focus on the name, description, and the QR code. And we are passing the data now to the event item. So let's take a look at the event item. We don't have the title now. We have the name. Okay. And we also have the QR code. But let's just leave it as it is. We are going to place the QR code image in just a second. But let's see if this is actually working. So I'm going to go to the simulator and we have null is not an object. Okay. Let's go to the home screen. And okay, we have some weird auto import. I'm going to try it like this. Delete this weird auto import. Let's save this. And I'm going to reload it. And there it is. Okay, so this is now working. Good. So the final thing is to actually add the QR code, and we will add it for this particular part just below the description. So let's go back to our Visual Studio Code, to our React Native application. Let's go to the event item, and this time I'm going to import image manually. And below the text description, I'm going to add image. And this is going to be a self-closing component. Here, what we are going to set is the style. Let's put in width 100 and the height, let's also put it as 100. Doesn't really matter for this example. And then we are going to specify the source, URI, and here we are going to place in the QR code. All right, let's save this. And here is our QR code. So obviously this isn't looking very, very nice right now, but the most important thing is that it's actually working, and we will continue to build this project in the upcoming videos. If you like this content, consider subscribing to the channel, and hope to see you soon. Take care and bye-bye. In this final part of the simple React Native with Django tutorial, we are going to add some additional functionalities such as adding new event. We are going to also make this refresh controller to work. We are going to also handle the screen for QR code scanning. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so this is where we left off the last time, and I want to begin this video by styling the card. So first of all, I want it to be white, and then I want to have in the same row the text and the QR code. The text should be on the left and the QR code should be on the right. So let's get to it straight away. In Visual Studio Code, we need to find the event item in Components Events, and then we need to go to the styles for our card. And we will begin by setting the background color to white. Let's save this. And now, as you can see, our card is white. So as the next step, we are going to place the items in a single row. So we will need to change the flex direction. By default, it is in React Native column, but we need to set it as row. So I'm going to put in flex direction row. Okay, so now we have items in a single row. However, now we have a problem that our text, the name and the description is also placed in a single row. So we can fix this by adding a parent element, a parent wrapper, which is going to be our view. So let's do it straight away. I need to import view from React Native, and I'm going to use it over here. All right, and there we have it. As the next step, let's center the items vertically. So in order to do this, we need to set align items, and then let's place in center. Let's save this, and here we are. So finally, let's also take care of the horizontal display of our items, and I'm just going to set justify content as space around. Okay, let's save this, and it's looking quite nice. So as the next step, I'm going to try to press on this particular card, and we have can't find variable title. Okay, so we made some adjustments, I think, in the last video, and we didn't fix them in all the necessary places. So let's do it right now. Here in the event item, we are now taking the name as the prop, but here we are passing the title. So let's change it to name, and then we need to go to the event detail screen. Screens, event detail screen, all right. And here we need to take in the name, and we can actually set as the header title whatever the event name is. And yeah, we can also maybe adjust the fonts here to 14. And yeah, let's see if this will work. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to press on the card one more time, and we still can't find variable title. So we have name. Oh, okay. Here we are. I forgot to change it over here. So now everything should be working. And in fact, it is working. Okay, so we are now taken to the detail page of the event, and we can go back by pressing the back arrow, the header back button. Okay, so this is also taken care of. This is working. As the next step, let's take care of the refresh controller, because right now the refresh controller only displays refreshing. So what we are going to do is to actually do some modifications in the home screen, but right now what I want to show you is to simply access the event list and then take a look at this refresh controller. Over here we have this on refresh where we are console logging refreshing. So what we are going to do is to set a function in the home screen and pass it as a prop to the event list, and we will use it with on refresh. But in the home screen we will additionally set a state. We will have a refresh and set refresh state. So we will have a value and a update function for the state. And initially we are going to set the refresh to false, and then we will also have a function for updating the state. So handle refresh is going to be the name of it, and we are going to pass it as a property in just a second. Here we are going to now display console log refreshing like this. Okay. And then below we are simply going to set the refresh with the use of brief state, and we are going to set it as the opposite. So if we have false, then we will have true. If we have true, then we will have false. And now this handle refresh is going to be passed as a property to the event list. We are going to set a property on refresh, and here we are going to pass this function. Okay, and one more important thing, we need to add now refresh to the dependency array. So once refresh changes, we are going to fetch the data. Okay, and now we can focus on this event list. So let's go to the event list, and here we are now taking, let me just save the home screen very quickly. And now here we are expecting also on refresh property. And as mentioned before, we can use it over here. Okay, so this should work. Well, let's find out. So if I scroll down, we see refreshing. And as the next step, I'm going to go to the Django administration, and I'm going to add an event manually. Test X, let's say, something like this. Test, today, save. Okay, and now if I refresh the home screen, it should appear as a new event, this test XX. So let's find out if it actually works. And there it is. Okay, so it appears on the bottom, but I'm not going to focus on reversing the order of these elements in this particular video. So as the next step, let's take a look at the QR code screen that we have over here. Before we make any adjustments, let's go to the Expo documentation. Let's find barcode scanner, and let's install npx expo install barcode scanner. So I'm going to quit the development server from running, and I'm going to run this command. Now I'm going to head over to the usage, and here we have a simple example that we can simply copy into our code. So I'm going to copy this part first, and I'm going to place it over here so we can remove this part of imports. Then what I'm going to do is to focus on this particular part. And there we have it. So we also need to put in styles screen, but here I'm going to remove the padding and I'm going to add flex 1. Okay, so what we have over here is to check if we have the permissions to access the camera, and if we don't have the permissions, we have two cases. We are still requesting for the camera permissions if the has permission that we hold over here is null, or if it's false, we simply are displaying no access to the camera. If we have the permission, we are displaying the barcode scanner where we can simply scan our QR codes in this case. What we are going to focus on is this particular function. So here we are getting the type and the data. So the type is the type of the QR code, the type of the barcode, and in our case, the data is going to be the event name. So what we should do over here is to check if we have the data. So if data, and then we can simply use the navigation to access the detail page. However, we are not going to do this in this particular video, in this tutorial, because first of all, we are using the simulator, and the simulator doesn't have the access to the camera. And if we would like to use the Expo Go application, we would probably need to put our backend live on the server. So here I'm just going to place some information that we can use the navigation in order to navigate to the event detail page. Okay. So now let's take a look at how this will look like in the QR code screen in our simulator. So I'm going to use the tab navigation to access our QR code screen, and we see a black screen. So normally we would see a camera over here and we would be able to take the picture. All right, so yeah, we can now move to the next part, and the next part will be all about adding new events. So in the screens, I'm going to add a new one, new event screen. And I'm going to make it, of course, a functional component. So we will have new event screen. Then I'm going to import view from React Native. Okay. And as the next step, I'm going to focus on the state that I need. So I need the name of the event, the description, the date when the event takes place. And we would also want to see some alert if we are successful in terms of adding new event. Okay, so I'm going to create a const name and then set name. And we will try to auto import useState. There we have it. And the initial value is going to be an empty string. Then we will have another const for the description, and then set description. And then we will have another useState with the initial value set to an empty string. Then we will take care of the date. So we will have a date and set date. And this time the initial state is going to be a little bit different. We will have a new date object over here, like this. All right, now let's put in the alert and set alert. And we will have a use state set to an object where we will have is visible set to false initially, and then the message is going to be set to an empty string. Okay, so this is the state necessary for our new event. So as the next step, what we want to do is to add some text inputs so that it can interact with the state, and we can have a way of inputting the name, the description, and the date from our view. So I'm going to import text input. Let's do it first for the name. So we will have a value, and the value is going to be set to name. Then we will need a on change text, and this is going to be our set name. As the next step, let's also add a placeholder. I'm just going to put in a name, and we will also add some styling. So here we will need to import StyleSheet. Okay, and then let's go to the bottom, and here we will create const styles is equal to StyleSheet create, and let's add two styles for the screen. We will have the padding set to 20, and then we will take care of the input, and here we will have the height set to 40. Then we will add the border width to 1, set to 1. The border radius will be set to 5. Then we will have the padding set to 10. And we also want the background color to be white. And finally, let's also add some margin bottom set to 10. All right, so here now we can first of all add a style equal to styles screen, and here styles input. All right, so if we now take a look at our home screen, we can import a button, and we can place this button above the event list. So let's put the button with the on press, which is going to be set to navigation navigate, but we don't have navigation over here. So I'm going to create this variable navigation is equal to use navigation, which needs to be imported, and we have successfully made an auto import of the use navigation. So now we can simply put in navigation, navigate, and then we will need the name of the screen, but this screen hasn't been registered yet in the stack. So let's go to the stack. Let's copy the stack screen with the event name. We are at the home stack. I'm going to place the copy of it below, and then I'm going to change the name as to new event, and then here we will have the new event screen. Okay, let's save this, and then in the home screen now we can refer to this name, new event. All right, and then let's set the title to add new event. This, and yeah, let's see if this works. So we have this button add new event, and we are taken to the new event page where we can type the name of the new event. However, we can't, of course, create a new event and store it in our database. So in order to do this, we still need to take care of a few steps. First of all, let's add some additional inputs. We still need an input for the description and for the date. So in order to do this, let's go back to the new event screen. I'm going to copy text input, and I'm going to paste it 2 times. So let's see if we can adjust the text inputs in the way we need it. So here we will have a description. Here we will have in the onChange text set description, there it is. The placeholder is going to be description. And since this is a description, I'm going to also add multi-line set to true. And then the style is going to be also styles input. So let's save this. And as you can see, right now we have the description. But if we press enter, we have the possibility to add many lines. So this is great. And then we need to still take care of the text input with the date. So here we will have the date, and then onChange text is going to be set date. And let's not forget about the placeholder. So here we will have event date. Let's save this, and the placeholders are at least working. However, with the event date, we would like to see the date today. So over here we have the state of a new date, and in order to see its value, we can add to local string, and now we will have this date formatted, and we can actually see it and adjust it. So now, as the next step, we can add a button to actually send the information to our backend. So again, we need to import a button from React Native and add it below the form, button, and here we will have an onPress event. For now, I'm going to leave it empty, and then the title is going to be simply add. Okay, and now we can focus on the handler for this event. So I'm just going to call it maybe handle add event. All right. And here, this is going to be an async function because we will use the fetch method in order to send the information to the backend. And the fetch method returns a promise, so it will be simply handled with this async await syntax. So we can now refer to this handle add event function, and we can work on the handle event. So first of all, what I'm going to do is to display the date, console log date. Okay, I'm going to save this, and now if I press add, we see the date. So we need to format this to a date because in our Django, we want to store only the date of the event. We have a date field, not a date time field, and I'm just interested in this particular part where we see the date. So I'm going to format this very quickly by creating a new variable, which I'm going to call simply D, and I can format the date to a string, and then I can call slice on it, and I just want to pick up the date, and I'm just going to console log D. Let's save this, and there we have the date. Okay, so as the next step, I'm going to prepare the data. So I'm going to create a const data, and here I'm going to pass in the name, and then we will have the description, and we also are going to have the date as D. All right, so this is what we are going to send. So now we can create a new variable response, and this is going to be await, and then fetch. We need to pass in the URL, so I'm going to get it from the home screen. It's going to be the same endpoint. So let's bring it in over here. And we need to do some additional adjustments. So first of all, we need to specify the method, and it's going to be post. All right. Then we will have the headers, and here we will need to specify the content type, and let's set it to application JSON. All right. And then as the next step, we need to specify the body. So what we are sending, and we want to send the data as JSON stringify. and we want to pass in the data. So we want to create a JSON string out of our data and send it. Okay, what we need to do next is to simply maybe create another variable res, and this is going to be a result. So I can write await and then response.json. Okay, and I can simply now console log the result. Let's see if this will work. I'm going to save this. I'm going to put in xxx. I'm going to add, and there it is. So this object should now appear in our database, and here we have it. So we can't go back to the home screen yet. Let's do this functionality in just a few seconds, but let's right now focus on adding the alert. So what I'm going to do is to set an alert over here, and I'm going to set is visible to true, and then we will have the message to event added. Okay, message event added, like this. Okay, so here of course we could handle some exceptions, but I'm just going to keep this fairly simple. And now the last thing to do over here in this particular place, in this particular screen, is to display this alert. So we will have alert is visible. And if this is the case, we want to simply use the text component in order to display the alert message like this. All right, so I'm going to save this. I'm going to add xxxxx, add, and let's see if this has been added. And in fact, it has been added. Okay, so we see it over here. I made a mistake actually. It's not the last thing to do in this particular place, because we want to have a header back button to simply go back to our home screen. So I'm going to go to the event details screen, and I'm going to copy this piece of code with the use layout effect, and then I'm going to go to the new event, and I'm going to place this code somewhere over here. And now the header title is going to be add new event. We need to import header back button, so I'm going to grab it from here as well. And we also need use layout effect from React. Use layout effect. All right, let's save this. I'm going to reload. I don't know what happened over here. Can't find variable text. Okay, so we also need text. Okay. I'm going to reload it once again. All right, so let's try this once again. We have an add new event. Okay, we now don't see navigation. So let's create a const navigation, and this is going to be set to use navigation. Let's save this, add new event. Okay, now everything should be working. Test, add. We have this alert event added, and we can go back. All right, so this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you want more Django and React Native content, if you want me to build a more advanced React Native content with Django on the backend, let me know in the comments. And yeah, hope to see you again soon. Take care and bye-bye.